This is a production of Cornell University.
Okay, so welcome to the grand opening of the reborn Liberty Hyde Bailey Conservatory. I'm Alan Calmer, the director of the School of Integrated Plant Science, and I have the honor of leading the thanks to those who developed this wonderful resource for our community. I will begin by thanking the capital programs managers and directors who unfortunately could not be here. They are John Gurney, Director, State University Capital Program Management, Scott Lewis, Regional Director of Capital Program Management, and Bill Pennick, Capital Program Manager for Cornell. I should note that Glenn Evans in a second will introduce or acknowledge some other people who were involved more locally with the development of the Conservatory. I also want to thank the Liberty Hyde Bailey Garden Club and its president, Ed Cobb. Where's Ed? Oh, yeah, thank you. For donating the wonderful plaque that gives special meaning to the Conservatory. Right? A unifying theme of the school is discovery that connects, and the new conservatory provides a nexus for many connections. First, its state-of-the-art design connects us with a future of energy efficiency and closer connections between plant growth and engineering. The conservatory, along with many other important resources maintained by the Cornell University Agricultural Experiment Station, will be described by Glenn Evans, the Director of Operations for the Experiment Station, who will also acknowledge the staff who make everything work. A second speaker will address the conservatory's collection connections that connect us with the world of plant diversity and enable us, even in the gray cold of Ithaca February or May day, enable us to stand in tropical warmth and see the sweep of plant evolution and look at an amazing plant and then hold up a mobile device and learn the life story of that plant, which is a cool thing. And so Kevin Nixon, who is the chair of the Conservatory Committee and also a professor in the Hortorium, the Liberty Hyde Bailey Hortorium, will next speak to that. The Conservatory connections with history, which begin with Liberty Hyde Bailey, the visionary plant scientist who established our college and served as its first dean. Ed Cobb, who is chair of the SIP's History and Archive Committee, will address the Conservatory's history. And finally, the Conservatory provides a starting point for visitors, to explore plant science destinations across campus. And these include the student-designed Urban Eden plantings right here next to us and elsewhere on campus, led by Nina Bessick's class, soil monolith collections in Bradfield Hall, soon-to-come paleobotany fossil display in plant science, as well as the Cornell plantations and many other sites. So I invite you to explore this on your own, which you can do with the aid of this guide, which is available inside, and with your mobile device, which you can use to open up maps and all sorts of other resources. So for that, I want to thank Magdalene Lindenberg and Craig Kramer. And I also want to thank Tara Reed for providing sound and refreshments and events planning. So I would now like to turn it over to Glenn Evans, the Director of Operations for the Experiment Station.
Thank you, Alan. Okay, so I just want to acknowledge a few folks, and inevitably I'll miss a few, but I want to acknowledge as many as I can who've really been instrumental across the experiment station with really making this structure a reality, and also, preserving the integrity of these 500 plus species that we have here. So it's really, it's nice to see where we're at now. I think those of you who have been at Cornell a while, you've seen sort of the process that it took to get to where we are now, and can probably appreciate it better than most, just how many steps have to go through to get something like this into place. And so there's two areas I really want to express thanks, and the first is with the plant material. So in the interim, in the absence of a conservatory, while this was being built and discussions were being held about the future of the conservatory, all that plant material had to be taken care of. And for anybody who's ever had a house plant and had it die, well, times that by 500 or 1,000 or maybe a bit more, and that's really the level of complexity that our greenhouse growers and greenhouse staff had to do to move the plant material, to care for it, to manage the pests and diseases, and really keep it in a fine shape so that when its new home is finally built, that everything looked really well. And so I really want to express thanks, first of all, to our Tower Road greenhouse crew, and I know some of those are here today. We've got Trey and Merritt, we've got Josh. I want to express thanks to Paul Cooper in particular. Paul is the head greenhouse grower, and really, throughout this process in managing this collection and maintaining it in the fine shape that it's in, his expertise has been truly invaluable. And I also want to express sincere thanks to Melissa Breckner. Melissa is the supervisor for that range and manages these folks as a team. It really takes a team of folks to manage this plant material, to keep it going and evolving, just as we like to see it. The other area that's really been important throughout this process has been in the structure itself, and in figuring out all the bits and pieces so that they work together appropriately. And so anybody who's ever had a home repair, had a roof replaced or new siding, you know how things don't always go quite the way they're supposed to, and they end up costing just a tad more than maybe they should. Well, this structure is no exception to that. It really takes someone with a keen eye and attention to detail, and really a team effort to go through the entire process of designing it, putting it out to bid, having all of the contractors and folks on the job put things in place so that inevitably it'll be a long-term structure, it'll be successful and really functional and geared to the plant material and the teaching purpose that this serves. And so I think, we've been very successful in that. We've very minor bugs left to work out at this point. And a few folks to thank right here at Cal's facilities up in Kennedy. We've got a really good team of facilities folks, including Peter Paradise and Bill Daddle, in our infrastructure, properties, and planning, which is sort of our central facilities group. We've had really good project management throughout the process from Kaz Hatsatori and Art Fives. And these are the guys who really are in and out of the project throughout the build phase and really making sure those bits and pieces come together. And last, but certainly not least, I want to thank Andy Lead. Andy Lead is our plant growth facilities manager. Andy's just an incredible knowledge base throughout this process, really kind of catching things in design that would otherwise be a major issue now. And really helping to evolve the design. So as you go through the structure, please don't just look at the plant material, take a look at the structure. There's some really cool features there. Everything from energy saving shade curtains, some high efficiency supplemental lights, appropriate shades and mist systems, a really sophisticated environmental control system. So all these features that have to work together so that the plant material is happy, and so that inevitably we're happy as well. So with that, I'd like to turn it over, but I want to say, again, thanks to all those folks. If you wouldn't mind giving them a round of applause. They're well deserved. Next, thank you guys. Next, Kevin Nixon.
Hi, my involvement in this is basically as manager and sort of curator of the plant collection. Of course, I need to thank a whole bunch of people first. Most importantly would be Paul Cooper. I couldn't have done anything in here without Paul, and he acts not only as a horticulturalist but also just to bounce ideas off of in terms of how how to arrange the plants, do all that kind of stuff. Also, Devin and Trey, who helped to plant this little forest we have in here, and Daly will take care of everything. Melissa, Andy, very important in this whole process. And I know I forgot. Oh, Craig. Craig hasn't been mentioned yet. Craig has been deeply involved in this the whole time. Of course, Ed. Ed, I don't think this would be standing here right now if it wasn't for Ed, Carl, and the students who really put up a fight to get the conservatory here. So I think it's really a big community effort, and my involvement goes way back with the old conservatory, but this is, we're kind of taking a new approach here. So what we're going to do is have a very carefully managed collection. The old conservatory, there were probably 6 or 8 different faculty members who had some kind of involvement. So it just kind of was an amorphous thing that went in various directions. So I am going to be the curator, and I want to take any kind of recommendations and advice from anybody who would like to see things go into the conservatory. In other words, I'm not going to try to restrict what's in there, but I am going to try to augment and develop a collection that has a very wide berth, if you will, of diversity. Right now we have 144 families in the conservatory. We have 347 genera of plants, and guess what? I forgot to count the number of species. But it's somewhere around 600 or more. The thing is, we're numbering in the 800s right now in terms of the accessions. So one thing I'm going to be doing is developing connections with other conservatories, particularly the New York Botanical Garden. They're already propagating new stuff for us to bring in. So I think we're going to have an exciting time here of adding things. My intent is to add stuff that's educational, that feels, that it's of interest to a variety of people, from people who are interested in evolution, systematics, horticulture, houseplants. Visitors can see things here that they won't see elsewhere. And in that sense, you will start to see some things disappear from the conservatory, because there's no point in us, cultivating a begonia that you can see every time you go to Lowe's. So, with that said, the important thing about the conservatory from my standpoint is that it is a biological collection. And since I'm curator of the herbarium, we already have a lot of experience in terms of curating collections. And we have a big database structure in the herbarium. And so I've kind of taken that idea, and we've developed databases and interfaces that will allow you to actually interface information about this collection on your cell phones or tablets, or you can do it from your computer in your office as well. Some of you are probably familiar with QR codes. So in order to use a QR code, you need to go either to the Apple Store or the Android Store or the Windows. Does anybody have a Windows phone? No. I'm sure there's one for Windows, and then maybe even I don't know if BlackBerry has one. Okay, but at any rate, you can get a free app whereby you just take a picture, basically, through the app of this QR code, which there's one on your pamphlet there, and then it will bring up the web page that we've set up that accesses the database about that plant, that particular plant. We're just developing this. Some of these aren't going to have a lot of information yet. They're going to be expanded. But for instance, if you do the QR code for the carnivorous plants, it actually links you to a video showing a carnivorous plant eating a little arthropod. So there are various things like that. We're trying to add lots of links in. The information is thin on some of these things, but it will be increasing. As you go into from the other end and come up the center aisle there on your right, we're just starting to put in an evolutionary sequence for land plants that goes from liverworts to angiosperms along that side. But we still are missing some things. We need some different lycopodes and things like that. So we're working on that. So I don't know that there's much else I'd like to say. Again, I'd like to thank everybody who's involved and who has been involved and who will be involved. And any students who want to get involved, we're always looking for people who want to work in the conservatory. Oh, which means I forgot to thank Nick and Patty, who are the ones that you'll see in there. I'm glad I didn't. You'll see them, we have it set up now so they can actually enter data through their cell phones. And so it's a good reason they just hang out now down here entering data. And so for instance, there's a little app they can enter data. So every time they go through, they check, not every time, but often they'll check to see what's in flower, and they can just hit a little button that says that's in flower. So how many things do you think are in flower right now? Daddy knows.
134.
134? Is that what it is? I thought it was a little less. So there are 134 plants in here. Well, a few are in the purple house, but most of them are in here that have flowers on them right now. You might look, sometimes they're hard to see. Some plants don't have very attractive flowers. So at any rate, I'm very happy to be here, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to really develop this into something great. Thank you very much.
So our next and final speaker is Ed Cobb.
So I've been to national meetings, and I always wonder why the historians pull out a piece of paper and actually read their statements. Now I know why. So, greetings everyone. Glad you could come today for this nice balmy weather in the springtime, but you know, it's not raining, and it's nice and warm in the greenhouse. We'll be there soon. So, there have been 4 conservatory greenhouses built on the Cornell campus. The first conservatory was built in 1882 and was attached to the botany wing of Sage College. A smaller conservatory was built near this site, just over this way, in 1909. It was designed to house tropical plants for the new College of Agriculture. In 1931, another conservatory was built on this exact site when the plant science building was constructed. Construction on the conservatory before us today was completed in late 2015 during Cornell's sesquicentennial year. Yes, we got through the sesquicentennial. One of the 2 buildings that can be logged in for 2015, us and Claremont Hall. So, Liberty Hyde Bailey, the first dean of the still very active College of Agriculture, was involved in selecting the curved glass design of the previous conservatory, constructed by Lord Burnham. Starting in the 1920s, Bailey traveled extensively collecting and studying palms. Some of the very first plants that were moved into the new conservatory in 1931 were palms. And we even have a glass slide that proves it. Yeah, it shows the plants in the previous greenhouse. So the plants were moved in at the new conservatory in 1931, which palms, as we know, require special conditions, especially for survival in Ithaca's hostile winters. Research on palm anatomy and palm taxonomy continued in this structure for over 75 years, with plants being maintained in this conservatory. So today, this is a grand day for Cornell and the plant sciences. We have many people to thank for this state-of-art structure. After over 75 years of continuous use, plans were drawn up for renovation or rebuilding of the previous Liberty Hyde Bailey Conservatory. However, in the fall of 2010, it was announced that it was to be torn down and not replaced, particularly on this site. This resulted in a grassroots movement within the Cornell community to save the conservatory in this location for easy access by students and the community. Heather Holly, president of Vortis Forum at the time, circulated a petition to restore the conservatory or have it rebuilt in this location. Within less than a week, over 800 members of the Cornell community signed the petition. And during that time, Carol Bader, a longtime caretaker of the conservatory, brought the plight of the structure to the attention of President David Scorton, who eventually influenced the decision and saved our conservatory at this site. It is my hope, and the hope of everyone here today, with proper care, this conservatory and the collection of plants contained within will survive into the next century for the benefit and pleasure of generations to come. Thank you.
If Kevin and Ed and Glenn can come help me. You can't do this by yourself. We can open this up and enable you all to get into the warrant.
Which end do we all put our hands on?
1, 2, 3.
Yes, refreshments, warm.
Officially open!
Good job, Patty.
We open.
This has been a production of Cornell University, on the web at cornell.edu.